Hey, Isabella, did you see that we found out Sia has a kid?
Really?
The kid's name is Somersault Wonder.
I like it.
You do?
I don't know. I don't want to be mean.
That would have been a tough name to have, I think. As a kid in
They
formative
better
years.
get ready for attendance.
Yeah, really. Somersault? Like, do I have to? Hello, you beautiful babies. Welcome to Casuals, the podcast that claims to be about sports, but we'll see. Actually, I think we're pretty sports heavy today. We got a lot of sports topics to talk about. Just me, your host, Katie Nolan, and we got Brady and Isabella today. Chris wasn't kidding. He takes off on Thursdays. Even I thought that he meant like from a real job, but he meant from this job, this sports job. So no Chris today. And I love that for him because I bet he's drunk already.
Yeah.
Starting.
Yeah.
He's at least well on his way.
He's trying. The effort is in.
Did my bracket make it through? Sometimes I fail to hit the whatever final button is. I'm pretty sure I did them this morning. That's just how I roll. And remember I said I was going to listen to my instincts and really become one with and then make my picks. It didn't work out.
Wait,
I hated my bracket.
We can see each other's bracket?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sure can.
I should have just copied you guys.
No. How did you fill yours out?
Okay, so I did it a combination of things. One, mixture of location. So I was like, oh, I want St. John's to win. And then also seating. I don't know what else to...
Yeah. It feels, I don't know, maybe I don't know anything, but it does feel like a relatively chalky year. Like if you went with the top seed, I don't think you'll have that bad of a bracket. Now that I've said that, upsets galore will abound. But I didn't pick any, I didn't feel a calling to any important upsets.
I did with Texas ATM.
It's A&M.
I liked that. It looked like the logo looked like ATM. And then I think
much
apparently,
different concept.
Yes.
And then I think apparently Brittany Boski is an alumni.
Oh, really?
There.
Is she?
I just saw it on Google, so I was like, you know
she put
what?
a song out. Did you listen to it? I haven't heard it yet, but I saw it yesterday, and I saw people being very positive about it.
Okay.
But I haven't listened yet.
I haven't either. I'll take a listen after.
Good for her. I love taking a swing. Whatever. Just everybody. Imagine we do have limited time on this earth. Might as well make whatever you want to make. I'm going to make a podcast, which if you want to email it, you can, casualswithkatienolan@gmail.com. Our voicemail is 646-801-0043. On IG and TikTok, we are at Casuals, the podcast. I realized yesterday I hadn't ever tweeted about this podcast. I just hadn't even mentioned that I had one. So I did. And then I remembered why I hadn't done that. Yap today, I don't know. I don't think there's anything. The internet's pissing me off, man. I just feel like we are going into a weird place. I saw Isabel, did you happen to see any of this? This isn't a cold open. That is just genuinely a question I want to ask you. Okay. Do you know who Colleen Hoover is?
Yeah, It Ends With Us.
Yep,
author?
The woman who wrote It Ends With Us, which the movie that the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni drama all is stemming from, and the internet loves a drama like this. I saw somebody post yesterday that Colleen Hoover posts disturbing video on whatever social media it was that she posted it on, and I was like, damn, what happened? And I clicked on it, and it's just a lady in her house. She's pouring Diet Pepsi into her ice cubes tray and then freezing that and saying that I'm going to do this to make the most Diet Pepsi I could possibly have.
Yeah.
And I was like, disturbing?
Not disturbing. There's people who do that with coffee.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people can't do it with Diet Pepsi.
And also,
I wouldn't.
Right. But it's not it's not particularly groundbreaking. It's not even really that interesting. Instagram stories, if that's where that was, I posted an Instagram story a week or two ago about trying to get 2 cups unstuck. I didn't think we were judging our sanity based off what we put in our Instagram stories. When I encounter a problem, my best way to take a poll is I just go, does anybody know how to fix this?
Yeah.
And then I get a DM from Jim Norton that says I would hold on to one on one end and another on the other end and pull.
Would Norton be upset if
I was
you
like,
blew the
"Thanks.
roof off that he has
Thanks,
just
Jim."
rational responses to things in private?
No, I hope not. Because then he did Dan's podcast, and when he came to the house, I grabbed him and I was like, "Before you leave," and I handed him the 2 cups. And he really did try to pull them apart, but those things are stuck. I got to toss them in the trash. I haven't yet.
That is too emasculating. Like in Dan's house, saying, "Hey Jim, can you unstick these cups?" That clearly Dan
everybody
can't
has
do.
tried. Dan caused the problem in the first place. Dan's so strong, he smushed the cups together in a way that no one can pry them apart. It's like the sword and the stone. And but he can't take it out. So I don't know what that's about. But I loved these cups, and now they're just stacked. My point was, I think we're getting a little out of hand with like the drama. I think it's like we're trying so hard to. I saw another one where they posted a picture of Blake Lively had posted cookies or cupcakes or something she made with her kid on her Instagram, and the comments were like, "Wow, so out of touch." And you're like, "What? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's boring. The lady's being boring, and maybe she's not. Maybe she's annoying. But what's your end game here? What are we hoping to get her up on the stake to admit to? Can we all just be like, hey, that lady's annoying on the internet. I'll go look somewhere else." I don't know. Disturbing video.
That's kind of how I feel when people like use the word obsessed a lot.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm so obsessed. I'm obsessed
Yeah.
with my new toothpaste.
Speaking of which, Brady's obsessed with sweater vests. That's why I know audio medium, but I wanted to let everybody know I wore one
It's
today.
a damn good look.
Because I wanted Brady to know it's part of we can all be part of the group. I also have my glasses on, so I feel like I'm in a school teacher costume by accident.
You look like a professor.
Thanks. That's nice.
Professor of mathematics.
With tenure, for sure. Let's hop into some news. What's happening in sports? I saw this morning the Celtics have been bought. Bill Chisholm, the managing partner what a title that means. Like nothing, everything. Managing partner at Symphony Technology Group. Immediately obvious what they do. They do keyboards. I don't think they do. That's a joke. He's agreed to purchase the Boston Celtics for $6.1 billion. I will say Chisholm is a lifelong Celtics fan from Georgetown, Mass. I don't know Massachusetts the way I'm supposed to. I can tell you if I've heard of your town before, but I can't tell you where it is. So I looked up Georgetown. It's up there. That's basically New Hampshire. But I guess, I know people who have lived in New Hampshire and commute to their job in Boston. So like it's
Would you prefer he was a
doable.
billionaire from Southie? Like that would feel more genuine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'd be more interested in how he got it.
He would
Truly.
knock over a string of banks. I think that's the only explanation.
Which again is, at least he did it at least he was an honest criminal, you know? If approved, this will be, who gets to approve it? The league?
The league, the other owners have to vote on it. That's how Mark Cuban didn't get to buy a baseball team. They everybody else has to vote you in and be like, yes, you can join our club.
If approved, this will be the most money ever paid for a North American sports franchise. Hard to believe no CFL team went for more. Surpassing $6.05 billion paid for the Washington Commanders in 2023. Haha, Brady. My team's more expensive than your team.
My team turned it around pretty quickly. Like
I
we
know.
would
I
have.
can't believe they sold for that much. That's pretty wild.
Well, every one of these teams, you buy it and it just immediately makes you another $1 billion.
Right.
They just keep
Yeah,
going
there's
through the
no-
roof. Like finally,
really
these
no
billionaires
downside.
have found a way to make other billions on top of their billions.
Thank God. Thank God.
Finally.
It was hard out here for them. And now, no, that's good. This guy, you're never going to catch me praising an owner. I don't really think I'm a big ownership fan of any. Do the job, Bill, and I'll be happy to have you. My favorite type of owner is one whose name I don't have to know because stuff is just running smoothly. So, yay, I guess. I don't know. I could probably have a smarter take on it, but I just found out. And I'm a casual. We kind of basically talked about our brackets. Did we want to say who we have winning? I don't think anyone should care, if I'm honest, about who we have. I did a couple brackets for a couple different leagues, but I know Arizona goes way too far in my bracket because Dan went there, and I root for it. St. John's, I think I might have had winning because it's fun. That would be a fun story to have, but I don't feel particularly strongly about anything.
I have to have Maryland going all the way, because if Maryland were to win another national championship and I didn't pick them, then like I have to live with that. Like that.
Right. That is a true, like if Arizona, if I didn't pick them and then Dan's like, wow, you bailed on my team and they won the whole thing.
Right. Like there's no shame in being wrong. I'm fine in being wrong with a bracket. I'm not like upset if somebody's like, oh, you didn't pick the winner. Of course, no one picks the winner. But I'm much happier saying I picked my guys, and if they win, then I would be like an extra level of drunk and happy.
Yeah.
How long is this?
This show? This
because
bit?
I was filling out the bracket, and I was telling Katie before this, I was like, oh, I didn't realize there's like, we're not just doing East and West, like there's Midwest, and then what is it, South?
Yeah. Isabella, we screwed her over because her first experience with the bracket was the Sweet 16 of our show. And so I think she probably thought this was like a easy endeavor where you just had to pick 16 teams. I don't think we set her up for success by being like, you got to click through the regions and really make a bunch of decisions that are ill-informed. But you got to do it.
Yeah, it took up a significant amount of my commute, and
how dare we?
Took away from my music listening sessions. Okay?
You couldn't. So you felt you couldn't listen to music.
No, I had to
while
concentrate.
Filling out a bracket.
You listen to One Shining Moment. Just plow through it.
She either has to sit. She has to sit.
I had to concentrate
and listen to the songs, or she can do something on her phone in silence. There is no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to make sure.
Of course.
So you didn't answer my question. How long is this entire...
April 7th.
It goes till April 7th.
It's 3 weekends because you can play 2 rounds in a weekend. They do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday again. Then you're down to so few teams that they do Saturday,
That first Monday hits.
Dumb question.
That first Monday stinks when you're like, wait, we were just in it. Now we got to wait to get back into it again. What's your question, my darling?
Where am I watching this?
TNT, TBS, True TV.
And CBS.
Right? Is it still
in
CBS?
The best thing CBS does, and they've always done, is that they stream it on their website for free. So if anybody's picking this show up, you miss the Thursday games up on Friday, they have it, for streaming at your desk. But they also always include one thing called a boss button, where they put it on the screen, says boss button or work button. And you click it, and it immediately changes your game to the most boring, nondescript, generic spreadsheet they can find. It just does a fake Excel dot. It's amazing. Brilliant idea.
Fantastic.
And I'm confident no
Really
boss has
smart.
ever figured this out.
I'm trying to think of like the job that it would almost get you in more trouble to have a spreadsheet open. We're like, what? We don't even
Surgeon.
do that. Why are you... What are you doing? Yeah. Well, if you're a surgeon, I hate to say this. March Madness is for everybody, but maybe you don't get to watch until you're off work. I don't know. Is that okay to say? I don't want to tell anyone how to live their life, but please focus on the task at hand.
My neighborhood group text right now asked if anybody wanted to meet up at the bar around here on Friday to watch the games, and the OBGYN on the group text was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm done with deliveries at 10 o'clock. I'll meet you guys after.
That's amazing. Deliver a baby.
Wash hands.
And then go to
Wash hands thoroughly.
Yeah. Wash hands. Yes.
Preferably change clothes. Thoroughly. He has come to the bar before without changing out of his scrubs. And immediately it's...
Well, you can only do that in like a non-bloody day, I feel.
Yeah, but like, do we know that?
You never see anybody show up to... you don't see people show up in their scrubs outside of work and the scrubs are covered in blood. That feels like we all understand that's not...
Well, they get like dressed up before
Oh, yeah, I
things.
guess you're right.
Like,
they do
have
put
like
stuff
a front
on.
like this, and then they have the gloves over the...
That's right.
There are multiple fluids in play. There's a lot going on here, and it's like...
Yeah, blood's almost not even the
Ben,
worst.
I just want to watch hoops, but you're clearly in your work clothes, and I know what you do for a living. I know what you've been doing all day. Like, you're taking me out of the immersion of watching this game.
Well, put a little outfit for him in your backpack.
We
Grab a
should.
sweater vest out of the closet, and then if he shows up in work clothes, you can go, I'm glad we're having this conversation. Hand him the backpack. He goes to the bathroom. He changes.
Just carrying a go bag for my buddy so he can join us after work.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, I think so.
I'm a bad
I think
friend.
that's right.
I'm realizing this in real time.
Wait, what?
I should have been doing this all along.
No, it's that everyone can always be a better friend. You can always be a better friend. time for a confession. In our rundown here, it says Mavericks AI Jumbotron video breakdown because I watched the Dallas Mavericks in-house hype video that they showed on their Jumbotron the other day at a game. It's fully AI generated. It's Western themed. I believe even, and I don't have this confirmed, but it sounds like even the rap song that goes with it is AI generated. It feels like they fed a machine that commercial with that McDonald's commercial with that, is it LaKaylee 47? It feels like they gave it just that as source material and said, come up with a rap. And it's like, I don't know why this has to be a woman rapping. But anyway, I wrote all these notes about it when I watched it the other day. And then on my way out the door to come to the podcast today, I grabbed a notebook thinking it was the notebook that has my Maverick notes in it. And it isn't. This is my Severance notebook. I wish I was kidding. It's my Severance notebook. It's so listen, and I think we'll probably get into it at the end of the podcast. Don't worry, no spoilers right here at any point right now. But I started rewatching season 1 because I started season 2 of Severance, and I was like, I don't know if I remember season 1 enough. It's been 3 years. So then I went and watched one of those YouTube videos where they give you like the full, here's what happened in season 1. And then I was like, okay, I feel pretty refreshed. And then I watched episode 2 of season 2 and I was like, I still don't feel like this is hitting with me. I'm not really getting it. And then I just was like, then we got to episode 7 and I loved that so much that I was like, I'm going to go back to episode 1 and rewatch season 1 so that the stuff I'm not picking up, I can pick up. Because it's, it's like if the show's going to lose me, I wasn't going to go all the way back. But once I got to episode 7 and was like, oh, one of my favorite episodes of TV I've ever seen, I went back. And then when I went back, I was like, well, I got to jot down stuff if I see it that I think might become important later. And now I've got pages and pages and pages of useless notes. And that, folks, is the Katie Nolan experience in a nutshell. I've just now got notes that'll never go anywhere that are not for anything, but are detailed and highlighted in parts. And so anyway, I don't have. I
have severe
Mavericks
resentment for anyone who can hit skip recap on a show like that. Like the skip recap button, it looks at me and it's like, "Are you smart enough to click me?" I'm like, "Hell no, hell no! I need every recap possible."
Well, and here's the thing about skip recap. Here's the thing about the recaps now. I think we should start giving away like an Emmy to the best recap editor.
Yeah.
Because they used to be, I feel like, they used to just be what happened in the immediate episode prior. And now I feel like they do a really good job of being like, what little things from any time before right now do you need to be reminded of in order for this episode to best land? And I think they do a really good job of it at some shows.
Game of Thrones not only did a recap, but they acknowledge what an idiot I am, and they would give you a recap and a freaking map in the credits. And the map would be like, here's where Winterfell is. All right, dummy, here's where King's Landing is. Map. And you can't remember the name of all these cities.
Well, and that show can fuck off with calling you a dummy, because that show did not pay off paying attention to
5 different characters named John.
That they
can't keep track of these people.
They acted like, pay attention to each detail and you will be rewarded. And then at the end we were like, or not, I guess the
every single detail doesn't matter.
I guess promises don't mean the same thing in Westeros. Anyway, so the Mavericks, you should really Google it. It's so bad that it took a while for us to confirm it actually ran in the Mavericks home stadium. It did, but it seemed so plausibly entirely fake. Their hands aren't moving right. What's crazy is that it's the members of the Mavericks. I know there's not a ton, but as the Mavericks internal media company, you should have access to the team. You should be able to book the players. It's not a hard ask to get the players in your hype video, but I guess that was too much to send the email. So instead, they just AI generated their own players. They put the names, which famously go on the back of the jersey. They just wrote their names across the front of whatever Western themed clothing they were wearing. Presumably because there are so few Mavericks, you might not know who this guy is. I mentioned this Tuesday, but Anthony Davis at one point has 2 guns pointed at his head because AI still hasn't nailed the hands thing. And then the craziest part of this hype video, playing at a basketball game, was that it made these basketball players look like they'd never touched a basketball before. Like, the way they handled the ball, dare I say, and I know this is this much of an exaggeration, I would look more natural handling a basketball than those AI basketball players. The other thing about the Mavericks, because you think it couldn't get worse, but you're wrong, the team is now so injured that they are at risk of having to forfeit games, something that has never happened in the history of the NBA. Is that true? That's very surprising to me. To play, it's required to have 8 players. That's it. Just 8 players listed as active. And the Mavericks are in grave danger of being unable to compete.
They have like 15 guys on the roster.
That's,
They should be able to find 8 that are willing to play.
and they're just all hurt.
Yeah.
And if that video is any evidence, unable to play basketball.
No one in that video actually plays
Can't even
basketball
pass
because they
the thing.
realize, I think they started the video and they're like, wait, AI can't make it look like real basketball. Let's still do it.
Right. So let's make it horse themed, and we'll have them look like they are riding a horse. They also don't even really look like the people that they're supposed to. It's bad. It's bad across the board. To remedy the situation, Nico Harrison, the GM, the guy responsible for the Luka trade, has made an unusual request of the league, because certainly he's in a position to do that. They're asking for financial leniency so that they can sign free agents to play. They can't. That's wild. This is embarrassing. This is actually embarrassing.
By the way.
You should get relegated.
We promised we'd be popping a nooner today.
Is it noon?
Popping a nooner for March Madness.
Oh man, I forgot beers. And now this is where I'm a bad host. I forgot to bring Isabella and I beers.
It's okay.
Isabella, if you want to leave and go get a beer.
I'm popping a Kind bar.
Nice, sick. A nooner can be whatever you want it to be. I have edibles in my purse. Aaron Rodgers, you know, the guy who's been holding out on signing anywhere. He is now reportedly considering retirement, as his options are at this point limited to signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Giants, or no one. On Wednesday, NFL Network reported that the Minnesota Vikings were no longer interested in Rodgers, and would be moving towards 2025 with J.J. McCarthy as their quarterback. The Giants, however, have also hosted quarterbacks Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, and Jameis Winston for free agency visits as they await Rodgers' decision. And the delay may have worn on Steelers players, including team captain Cam Hayward, who said, "I ain't doing that darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap," on his Not Just Football podcast. Either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. It's simple. That's the pitch. If you want me to recruit, that's the recruiting pitch. Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to be a part of it, so be it. If you don't, no skin off my back. Yeah. Fair. Same. My only problem with that is that he said it on his own podcast, and we can't book athletes on podcasts anymore because they have their own podcasts. And that's clearly a personal gripe. What is he doing? Why is he doing this to us? What's he waiting for? Has he indicated?
He said it's not about money.
Okay. Has he said what it is about?
Well, the problem is once he signs, then the news story is no longer Aaron Rodgers. So I think he's got to figure that part out.
No way. It's
how can I
that?
sign and I
No
can
way.
still be the main news story?
No way.
Do you know have you noticed this man enjoys attention?
But it's even now, attention kind of sucks right now. Everybody that looks at you goes, "Nah, you're crazy. You put Diet Pepsi in your ice cubes. Nah, you're unhinged." And you're like, well, I'm just kind of trying to live despite it all. Yeah, all right, Aaron Rodgers, retire. I don't care.
The Vikings are willingly going with J.J. McCarthy, who they drafted last year and immediately hurt his knee and missed the whole season. And they said, we're going to go with J.J. McCarthy over a future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, where they have like a playoff team. They have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And they have decided, like, we're good. We're good, Aaron. We're good. We're going to go with J.J. McCarthy, who has not, like, proven anything. He's got a good head of hair. That's about it. He's tall. And we're cool with him. This is our guy.
Well, how old is Aaron Rodgers?
42 this year, I think.
That's old. Okay,
Yeah.
That's old. And he's not, I don't think he's as clearly taking care of I know he does his own research. but I don't think he's as clearly taking care of his body as like we watch Tom Brady like care more about pliability than having a personality. So I feel like he's old and he's a pain in the ass, it sounds like. Could be wrong. Maybe I don't know the guy personally. Sure sounds like he's thrives off of being annoying or a problem. And so it's like we've been hearing this for years, that if somebody's problems off the field, if their talent outweighs it, then they'll deal with it. But it's like, I just think it may be the other way around at this point. Like, come here and play football or don't. Like Cam Hayward said, come here and play football or don't. But like, I don't care about your theatrics. So best of luck to him in his decision. I'm just glad he didn't end up the host of Jeopardy.
Do you worry that if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play football, then he picks up a new hobby and then we are then subjected to that? Like, no, his new hobby was nearly being a vice presidential candidate.
Yeah. Well, and so if it, and you, and I, and that's my official statement on it. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll just start a podcast. And here's the thing. We don't have to listen to them all. People get very mad when somebody says they're starting a podcast on Twitter. And they go, wow, how many podcasts are you ever going to have? What's the matter to you? You don't like it? Don't listen. There are millions. That's kind of the crazy thing about it. You can start your own. All you need is a mic. And as of now, you don't need a license for one of these things. That probably should be changing soon. But as of right now, another exciting thing in the NFL, moving on from that to something much more exciting that everybody gets hyped about. Rule change season. Whoop. Woo! It's that time of year when the rules maybe change a tiny little bit in a way that's gonna maybe not be immediately obvious, but might be kind of annoying once next season starts, and they'll make a graphic to remind you of it and you'll go, wait, what? And then we'll learn the implications, and so anyway, we're near the owners' meetings. That's March 30th. I feel like those are usually in April. Am I way off?
I mean, it's
whatever.
Off by 2 days.
I went to those once. It was a wild experience.
I mean, it's essentially just like billionaires having a reason to go to like Palm Springs or something and stay somewhere warm, right?
At like a nice resort. Yeah. March 30th owners meetings where 24 of 32 owners would have to vote yes for a rule change. So you can propose one, and then you got to get 24 of 32. I imagine it's much like the movie Conclave, the way they try to get their votes for their rule changes. The biggest one on the table that at this point, exhausted from talking about it. If I have to say tush, I never thought I would say tush this much in my life, never mind in my sports podcast career. The Packers now officially putting their name on wanting to ban the tush push, the play that famously killed them in the playoffs against the Eagles. A previously reported attempt to ban the tush push short yardage play that they've used in recent years, submitted by the Packers. The rule would prevent players from pushing a teammate that is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap. Isabella, that makes immediate sense to you, right?
The pushing part, yeah.
Yeah. It's basically, I assume they're phrasing it that way in case it's not the quarterback. They just want to let you know that whoever's receiving the snap cannot be pushed by somebody behind them.
Where's the line of rule changes? Like, people could just, so it's like every single season they could just be like, oh, we want this rule changed because we suck at it?
I think is there a vetting process for being able to put one up? I don't know if there is, but I think mostly it regulates itself, where like you're only going to really propose a rule change if there's momentum behind it, or if it's like something that people have discussed or that you think you're going to get. I don't think they're just out here going like, no pants.
Yeah.
New rule, no pants.
I think it's a little more like buttoned up than like a local like small government town hall meeting. Like there's a vetting process of putting something up for a vote. But like, yeah, the line of where the kickoffs come from changes every like 18 months. Like the rules constantly change every year, and we are always learning about it week one where this ball's being kicked off from, and that's going to continue.
This year I gave up. This year I saw that kickoff and I was like, I don't need to know how that works. It's of no import to me.
Interesting.
And so I no longer care. I truly don't care about the tush push. I think it's like,
Has this always been around?
Yes, but it hasn't been used.
Well, you used
I
to
guess.
not be able to
And
push
now it's-
guys. You used to there was like
When?
a penalty for it 10 years ago or something, and then they.
Why did it change?
I think it was
this
too
way?
hard to regulate. Like, when does it become pushing? Like, if you put a gentle hand on someone's back, or if like you grab them and carry them, like certain
Yeah.
like that's when they also used to have like a line of intentional versus unintentional pass interference, and then you had a referee determining like when that was, and they're like, let's make the ref stop thinking about that. Let's just make it legal or make it all illegal. And then once they allowed people to start pushing like rugby style. And then the Eagles were like, hell yeah, brother. Let's just throw them forward. Let's just get all 10 guys running together, make a big dog pile, and move the ball. And now it's just a big old mess of people.
Well, that's weird because the rule change does not in any way clarify the language of pushing. So it feels like it would still run into that same problem of push being hard to define.
Better word than tush that I like with my kids? Fanny.
Fanny. Well, I believe in England, that means something very different.
Does it?
I think in England, fanny is in the front.
Huh.
Well, that would make because fanny pack is always in the front. Well, I mean, I wear it in the front.
Can someone confirm this
See, I have always known.
before I look like a weirdo?
Oh, okay. Well, this is just about the most confusing Merriam-Webster page I've ever seen.
The internet's
Fanny.
broken.
Fanny, noun. 1, British slang. Vulva.
Oh!
2,
Yeah.
2, alternative definition. Buttocks.
Yeah. And you do not want to get those two confused.
How could one word mean both?
You do not want, because it depends on where you are.
What are we doing with language?
Butt. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't go with fanny. I'd go with tuchus. I
tuchus
love
also
a
good.
That's a good
tuchus.
one.
A little tuchus. Because like it's never going to come up sexually in your life later. You know what I mean? Like I really do think that's a key. You're never going to bump into that word by accident and go, wow, embarrassing. That's what my mom used to call my butt. It's no one's going to say that. Tuchus. Heine.
The problem is, like, I'm very deep in the usage of fanny, and now I
Yeah.
suddenly have to
You've indoctrinated
reevaluate
your
this.
kids
Well, yeah, but
into
you get-
fanny.
Now it's like toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're gonna meet a British person. Oh, this
Better
is,
hope they don't study abroad.
Oy,
Keep them domestic.
I don't like this conversation.
Home soil. Neither do I. Let's talk about rule changes. Are there any good ones here? I'm seeing a bunch, and I don't care. Anything that stood out to you, Brady, worth mentioning?
Isabella, tell me if this makes sense. So footballs, there are many balls. They're used throughout the game. You might have like 50 balls for a game.
Really? Like used?
Oh yeah, like 'cause
Available to use.
One gets thrown, and like if it goes like all the way out of bounds, they don't like go run and track it down. Somebody has to get it. They'll just throw a new one in.
Oh, they
or if
don't?
one
They
gets
don't
like a
have
field
someone-
goal gets kicked into the crowd, they're like,
Right.
all right, timeout. Can we have that back, please? So
Well,
yeah,
hits a net.
a lot of balls, but the ones that are kicked, there is a rule that those have to stay under like lock and key and are in the box until right before the game. Whereas the rest of them, people can pick up and throw around. And the players can like warm up with them. They can rub them. They can
Could let
like
a little air
squeeze
out of
them.
'em.
Some people have been accused of not of deflating them
Nobody
on
cares,
purpose.
you guys. tell
Nobody
me.
cared until they cared, Nobody cared.
I'm like, the things you guys tell me, I'm like, you're lying.
No,
Like,
no, we would never lie to you. We'll never do that.
But they determined
never
that
do that.
kickers were like doctoring the balls too much. So then they made them like lock and key the kicking balls. So those things come like straight out of the factory and they're like a brick to kick.
Yeah.
Because like
And? Is this a rule change?
now they want to walk that back, and the kickers are like, these balls are too hard. Can we please
Yeah.
be able to like rub the balls again and be able to like,
Please let us rub our balls again.
please, sir?
Won't you please?
Why, it's Christmas, sir. Please, one time.
We deserve to rub our balls, sir.
So it's a lot of legislation of how the balls are handled.
Snooze.
Okay.
Snooze, snooze, snooze. Good luck with your rules, guys. Let us know what comes out of your school meeting. We don't, to quote Stephen A. Smith, we don't care. Netflix's Quarterback is coming back. Now, I got by this video. Netflix, they have that behind-the-scenes NFL documentary. It's called Quarterback. They are returning for their second season in July. Season 1 followed Patrick Mahomes, maybe you've heard of him, of the Kansas City Chiefs, Kirk Cousins, who was then with the Minnesota Vikings, and Marcus Mariota, who was with the Falcons. Then they did a season of receiver, and then now this season of Quarterback is Cincinnati Bengals Joe Burrow, Detroit Lions Jared Goff, and Atlanta Falcons Kirk Cousins again. Kirk Cousins again?
Went all in on Kirk Cousins.
I think we know the guy. I think we've had enough. He drives a van and he likes Harry Potter and you like that. We're good. I'm good. I don't know. Fine. Netflix released a teaser on Wednesday confirming the series return. But what they did was they started it out by being like, you've seen Quarterback, you've seen Receiver, get ready for Mascot. And they made like a fake trailer for pretending that this year they were going to follow around the mascots. And then they had the quarterbacks that we now know are featured in this season of Quarterbacks saying, you guys know they can't talk, right? Hey, I think that's stupid. I'd do a season. Would you? Like pretend asking each other even though none of them are in the same room. A thing that ads love to do now where you're like, we're not stupid. We know those guys aren't in the same room talking to each other. There would have to be 3 setups of them all being straight to... That doesn't make sense. And then they were like, yeah, let's do it. And then, Netflix was like, teehee JK, we're doing Quarterbacks. And look, cool, funny, haha, disrespectful to mascots who I don't think deserve it.
I would be into the mascot show. Like, I really was into it.
I would too.
Former...
Or just like hearing the people talk about being a mascot. I mean, if they're really going to be on camera as the mascot, that is less... They do not talk.
I'm going to open up a can of worms
that would
here.
Be
as a former professional
tough.
mascot myself.
Let's go. What the fuck? Why did it take this long for us to know
This is when you share the information?
What are you fucking talking? If I had the power to fire you right now, I would. What more? Expand upon that.
I had a limited run for the Baltimore Bayhawks Major League Lacrosse team as the Bayhawk. Did a lot of
Isabella. He a little overstated. A little.
The Bayhawk.
Technically,
I was not the Philly Fanatic. No.
No.
This was a much lower level, but did a lot of events.
What was it again? It was a Bayhawk?
It was a big gray bird dressed in a lacrosse uniform. Big feet, big head. Danced on stage with DJ Cool for Let Me Clear My Throat one time.
Danced.
Kind of a big deal.
That's kind of
You know,
cool.
I say dance like no one's watching. Dance like you're in a mascot suit with no
true.
identity. Like you can go nuts.
So true. Dance like they can't trace it back
Pretty
to
much.
you.
Dance like you're a giant like Muppet playing lacrosse, and you will have a good time. But doing events with like the local DC mascots, like the Screech from the Nationals, and a bunch of the locals. There's some hardcore dudes inside the mascots, like guys who have just made they've been doing this for like 8 years. And I remember one of the racing presidents from the Nationals, we went like into our backstage area and he took his head off and the man had like a ice water cooling system that there was like tubes snaked around his entire body and like had a power bar in like a little front pocket and his shirt was ready to go. And I'm like, this is why your suit probably smells way better than mine. You're way more prepared for this. But there's an ethos to like how you have to walk with the feet to make the big like Sideshow Bob feet flap in real time at the right pace.
So you don't look like a human with awkward feet.
So you're kind of like a walking bird.
Kind of like the first time you put flippers on when you're going scuba diving and you put on the flippers and then you try to walk and you're like, well, this is different. This is different. This is more different than I thought it was going to be. I imagine is what it's like to put on a mascot
Netflix
costume.
Underestimated where the content would be.
I agree. I also think there's like a mascot camp that you could have gotten some great footage at. Did you have to share your suit with other people? Were you like a mascot by committee?
Yeah, that's easily the worst part.
I can't imagine because you'd be like, hey, can I get some approval power over who else gets to be on the team so I'm not sharing a suit with the stinkiest coworker?
It is, I'm pretty sure, completely impossible to wash a mascot suit.
Yeah.
You can try to cover it up as best you can.
Yeah, I bet they just spray it with disinfectant.
They're extremely hot.
Ah.
There is no No escape from sweating inside that thing, especially when yours has feathers.
Speaking of extremely hot, annual reminder that the guy inside a Gritty is an attractive man. I've been letting the world know this for years. Maybe it's a different guy now, so I could be wrong. But Gritty's hot. Do with that information what you will. Trinity Rodman and Ben Shelton hard launch. Saw a lot of people going nuts over this. I'm not paying attention to tennis, I guess, in this way that I knew who this was. But tennis star Ben Shelton went Instagram official with his relationship with U.S. national team and Washington Spirit forward Trinity Rodman. Isabella, you hyped on this couple, a young couple, love to believe in again?
I mean, I'm not necessarily hyped, but I will say it is fun whenever there's like two athletes dating for some reason.
Yeah,
it's just fun to see. You're like, oh, you do that thing.
Right.
And you do that thing.
Like different sports, but you guys can relate to like mindsets and like the basic, like you both do the same job, but you are competing against each other.
But I also am nervous for them because it's like, I feel like once you go into the spotlight and make it official, it's like, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but I just feel like people seemed very supportive. And look, I'm too old now to put any sort of faith in anybody's relationship. I'm happy for them as long as they're happy, and and we'll see. Well, good. And if they want to be apart, break up. You can't put any meaning in anything anymore. The world lets you down enough times, and you just go, I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna keep that close. The only relationship I believe in is my own. I don't even believe in my parents' marriage anymore.
Wow.
I never believed in my parents' marriage, but they are still together. They are proof you can just power through it and come out the other side in love again. What about Happy Gilmore? We've been hearing that the Happy Gilmore not reboot, I guess it's just a sequel. A long time coming. Happy Gilmore 2, the trailer is out. While Netflix's log line for Happy Gilmore 2 keeps the storyline a mystery, all it says is Happy Gilmore is back. There's a lot of Netflix stories today. I feel like we're doing very Netflix heavy. The new trailer shows Sandler's character having some doubts about facing off against a few PGA heavyweights, but he returns to the golf course with confidence and all hell breaks loose. Joining Sandler in the sequel, returning cast members Julie Bowen, Christopher McDonald, and Ben Stiller, plus newcomers such as Bad Bunny, Travis Kelce, and Sandler's daughters, Sadie and Sunny. Real professional golfers, John Daly, Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, and more also feature in the movie. Travis has mentioned it on his podcast, so we have a nice something for Travis, Sandler said about Kelce's. Okay, well, should we get ready to make a clip of me saying something nice about it on a podcast? That's all you got to do? Travis Kelce said something nice about it on your podcast, so you put him in the movie?
Happy Gilmore is back is enough of a logline, right? Like, I feel like if they explain the premise to us more, it's only going to make me less interested.
Fun fact, I've never seen Happy Gilmore.
What?
Well, you should really see it.
I know.
But I'm not going to, I haven't seen all the Star Wars. I don't see a lot of movies. I like TV, so I'm not going to judge you. I think you'd like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I like Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
I think I'd like it.
Yeah.
I like The Waterboy.
Did you see Billy Madison?
No.
Well, so these are like Sandler's best. That's like peak Sandler. So if you like Sandler without those, you should really love those, I think.
Yeah, like your Sandler experience can't start with Click. There has to be...
No,
it was Spanglish.
No. I've seen Waterboy. I've seen Mr. Deeds.
Oh.
I liked that one. That's one with Winona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Winchesterton Townville.
Underutilized John Turturro in that one.
Yes.
I love John Turturro.
I'm Betty Sneaky, sir.
I have 5 90s movies I would much rather see a sequel to. Not that I'm anti-Happy Gilmore sequel. There's a bar to live up to.
Did you just see me digging through I was like, I'm sorry, I must not have seen your
Wedding
list.
Singer. Sorry, I was still on the topic. I love Wedding Singer. That's my favorite. That's my favorite Adam Sandler movie.
Airheads. The list starts with Airheads. 5 90s movies I wanted to see a sequel to.
You have 5?
I can make a list of 5 of anything.
Okay. You're in sports media.
That I am.
You're born for
That's why I'm starting with sports. Basketball absolutely needs a sequel in 2025. You don't think
Okay.
that there's a re-up for a satire of the sports industry in general, especially done by guys who've been cranking out content of weekly satire?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes. I think you could make it just not a sequel. I think you could just take another swing at another parody of without making it a sequel. But yeah, all right, fair.
The Program. Love meets the Program. Just juiced up college football squads of 1993 absolutely translates to today, where now like suddenly all college athletes have money and have not gotten any more responsible with anything.
Number 3. I'm editing you. Number 3.
The Fifth Element. Granted, Bruce Willis, so be it.
Multipass.
Everybody loved The Fifth Element. That's a whole world I want to live more in. Like a lot of it is like, what world do I want to
But
get
you
more
wouldn't
into?
want to do it without him.
That's true.
right?
That's
So,
probably a bad idea.
Yeah. Number 2.
The Last Action Hero. Totally got crapped on when it came.
Is that the one that starts with the gun, with the shooting in the at the beginning?
Yes.
Is that the one that starts on a football field and the guy shoots?
No, that's The Last
somebody?
Boy Scout. Also
sorry,
with Bruce
my
Willis.
bad. Yeah.
Last Action Hero is Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, is a fictionalized version of Arnold Schwarzenegger living inside his movie universe, and there's a whole bunch of meta theater of the kid popping in and out of this fantasy world, where in the fantasy world his partner is a cartoon cat. It's very Paul Abdul. I want more of this.
Opposites attract.
Number 1, though, I keep going back to like worlds I want to live in, where I could do an update of. I could be down for an Alicia Silverstone return
Ooh.
in a Clueless sequel in 2025.
If she's okay from eating that berry off that bush on her Instagram Live.
I think she'll make it. Alicia Silverstone, I had to have this conversation with my kids.
Isabel, did you see that?
No, that's why I was like, huh?
She tilted her head like a dog. Like, what is this? A couple months ago, she like was on Instagram Live and was like, "What are these berries? They're growing in my backyard, and I'm just curious." And she like popped one in her mouth, and then all the comments were like, "Poisonous berry! That's a poisonous berry! Don't eat that!" And then she like, I don't know, for a day didn't post or something, and people were like, "Is Alicia Silverstone
she okay?"
Okay.
She is the mom in Babysitter's Club, also on Netflix. And I had to have that conversation with my kids, being like, look who that is!
Oh my God. Yeah, Clueless is great, but I'd miss Brittany Murphy.
When Stacey Dash probably wouldn't get invited back either. But Paul Rudd can probably just play Josh again.
Looks exactly the same. Deal with the devil he made. I don't know what that is, but he looks exactly the same. Our little handsome. All right, I guess we should talk about baseball, because technically, this is very annoying, I think, but the baseball season has started, even though opening day here on home soil, March 27th. We played a little Tokyo series in, you guessed it, Tokyo. The Dodgers played the Cubs. That was a 2-game series, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Dodgers won them both. It was early in the morning. I'm not going to say I watched it, okay? And I love baseball, but I didn't wake up early and watch it. So drag me over the coals or whatever. But I heard about it. I heard that a large draft beer at the stadium cost 900 yen, which is about $6. And the best part, it was poured in seat by beer vendors who would wear backpack-mounted kegs.
Brilliant. Glad those didn't
Now,
exist when I was
that-
in college.
I was going to say, no chance that existed in high school, because I went to a high school when you would go to a house party, these kids would wear their beers on their back. Instead of putting it in the fridge, they just would assume somebody would take those. So you have to wear your beers on your back. And if they had these, I feel like it would have stayed colder,
Probably.
because you could have insulated
Also,
it
if you
better.
just have like the walking tap, like you're the most popular guy in there.
That sounds really
true.
heavy.
Yeah, but we were in peak physical form back then, so I could have lifted a keg backpack. I lifted a keg up the stairs. I bar backed at the bar I worked at one night because we didn't have a bar back. And I don't think I lifted it up the stairs. I don't think that's necessary. But I moved kegs around. One of them had beer in it. So where's my medal?
Have you ever done the thing where you go upside down?
In my life, have I ever been upside down? A handstand?
Like on the keg?
Oh, a keg stand.
Do kids not
I
keg stand
don't know.
anymore?
They
Oh,
must
God.
not. Because
I
what
was not
that?
I've never been to a high school party. I was not.
Huh.
Yeah. I was not. I was drinking
I mean, we
beers
did,
on my couch.
to be clear, high school party, we were doing beer balls at most. We were not grabbing a keg.
What
for
is a
high
beer
school
ball?
party? That was college. A beer ball was like a smaller keg. It was like a little
Oh.
a ball, like a glass, I want to say, ball that had beer in it, and you could pump it and get beer out of it. But it wasn't a keg. I got caught for having a party once because somebody brought a beer ball and then they threw the beer ball out just across the street into the woods instead of, because I said, take this with you and dispose of it. I don't know what to do with this. And they were like, you got it, chief. And then they tossed it across the street. And somebody was like, hey, we found a beer ball and you were away last week, Mr. and Mrs. Nolan. I think this might belong to you. And then guess what? I was grounded. That's how every high school story of me ends. I was grounded. I was like the most well-behaved, constantly grounded child on earth. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest, you guys. Yes.
Isabella, do you have a general grasp of how amazing Shohei Ohtani is at what he does?
Yeah, I hear he's awesome and he's amazing.
No, that's not enough.
Those are two words. Yeah. It's not enough.
Doesn't he have, what's the name of his dog again? Isn't it like a
Decoy?
Decoy is the name of his dog because
Decoy.
he used his dog as a decoy for where he was signing when he was a free agent going to the Dodgers. Yes, it was all very meta.
Very funny. Very, very funny. Do you understand that that most pitchers, people who throw the ball to the batter in baseball, do not hit? They don't. It's just like not because their arm is like precious and protected. And Shohei hits well and pitches well. He's like one of the best hitters and he's one of the best pitchers. So it's like a type of player that we do not often see anymore and certainly do not see at this level.
And he'll regularly do that. He'll not just pitch, he'll also hit.
Last year he didn't. He was hurt. But he set a record anyway, in a different way, for base running and hitting home runs because he was like, well, I got to do something extraordinary and they won't let me pitch, so I'll just break a record. He's so good. He's so purely good at baseball.
He's like the EGOT of sports.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like sweet. My favorite thing when I would watch him that season I did baseball is he would like apologize a lot. Like if he like hit a foul ball and it was like a sharp line drive foul, he would be like, careful. Like he would be like, oh, he would like care about the fan. Like it was, I just think he's a sweetie pie.
He goes out of his way to pick up trash on the field.
Yeah.
Like the man will run around. He sees litter. It just goes in his back pocket.
Katie, it sounds like you should be a Dodgers fan.
Oh, Isabella, bite your tongue.
No.
Never.
I don't know.
It won't ever
saying
happen.
such nice things about Shohei Ohtani. Maybe
I have nice things to say about a lot of them. Mookie Betts. Is Teoscar Hernandez still on the Dodgers?
Yep.
I love Teoscar. Isabella, you would love Teoscar.
So then you should buy
It's the laundry. The front of the I can't get past the front. I can't.
What, like the logo?
No, the team. The team in general. It is always the team that gets the guy that you wanted. I'm just like sick. I'm exhausted by them. But I'm happy for their fans, yada, yada, whatever. I don't hate them the way I hate those other two teams.
Yankees?
That's one of them.
Can I guess the other one?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can go back in my inventory of things that you've hated.
I'm not as loud about this one because they get very
Astros?
annoying. Yeah, hell yeah. That's exactly right. Isabella knows me.
I was like, no, Panthers is hockey.
I feel so seen. Oh my God, I feel so seen.
I pay attention.
I know. I'm being perceived in a way that I sometimes forget.
You do look, I think you would look good in Dodger blue.
She's laying out a very rational case for this, and you can't argue with any of it. It's like, here's all these players you like. Here's a uniform you like.
It's making me feel mentally
You're
ill.
a dog person. Shohei Ohtani has a dog.
There's
named
other
Decoy.
dogs, please. Your argument is weakening. There's other dogs I can like. I like my own dog. The Masters menu. The Masters gets underway Thursday, April 10th. I forgot what a busy time of the sports schedule we're at right now. As is tradition, each year the reigning champion personally selects the menu for the Masters Champions Dinner on Tuesday. That dinner is everybody who's going to play in the Masters?
Yeah, and
Brady, or it's everybody who's ever won the
both.
Masters?
Because everybody who's ever
Everybody
who's ever won the Masters gets invited to play in it forever. That's why you have 80 80-year-old Jack Nicklaus still gets to play in the Masters. And he'll tee off, he'll play 2 rounds, he won't make the cut, but it's still fun.
Still cute.
It's adorable.
So the last year's champion gets to pick the menu for this dinner. Scottie Scheffler won last year in 2024, and his menu that he's selected has a Texas theme. I'm going to tell you about it now, so I hope you're not hungry. For appetizers, we're going to do cheeseburger sliders, quote unquote, served Scottie style. No elaboration on
Nope.
what that is. So that's, I don't know if I'm supposed to know or what. Firecracker shrimp and Papa Chef's meatballs and ravioli bites. I'd be all over that. I'll tell you that right now. I'm an apps gal. First course, Texas style chili. Great, sure. Main course, cowboy ribeye or blackened redfish with family-style macaroni and cheese, jalapeno creamed corn, soy-glazed Brussels sprouts, and chipotle lime sweet potatoes. Elaborate. No, nary a food item without a food adjective before it. And then for dessert, a warm chocolate chip cookie with vanilla bean ice cream. What is this, a flight? How do we feel about that? That's a delicious dinner. Nothing groundbreaking there. Steak or fish, some regular steak sides.
I would
a
say
cookie,
Scottie's not utilizing
chili.
his he's not seizing the moment on this. Like he's done
Yeah.
this before. This is his second Masters dinner because he's won the Masters twice now. And this is very similar to when he did it the first time, when he served dinner in 2023. And it's, just another Texas meal.
The firecracker shrimp, tortilla soup. He went with a different.
Like last year,
soup.
John Rahm was the reigning Masters champion. John Rahm is from Spain and showed up and did a full tapas menu. Did a full tapas menu.
You saying tapas?
Tapas?
That's wild.
You're about to get some comments, Brady.
Tapas? He did a whole
Full tapas
tapas menu.
of
The
things I
tapas
can't
Rangers?
pronounce.
You could have tried, probably, but we won't.
Do you want me to try and think it'll go better than tapas?
No, I immediately regret. No.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was John just went full Spain on it. Like Hideki Matsuyama went like a full sushi and like A5 Wagyu, which, by the way, like driving the price up of anybody who's ever done this menu. Like he got his money's worth for what Augusta's willing to pay for it in 2022. Like this is
Has anyone
take
ever
some
used?
chances.
Yeah, and by chances, I mean, let's food poison these guys.
That's the thing. That's what I'm
Undercooked-
saying.
Katie
Like
Nolan's menu: undercooked chicken medium rare.
I would roll in there like Wallace Shawn and Princess Bride. Be
Why
like,
are you so upset at these guys?
Because I want to win again.
I want to win again. I want to knock out my competition. I'm going
Yeah.
to serve something that I know that I have built up an immunity to in my stomach.
right.
And
I spent the last 6 months eating chicken a little undercooked to be ready for this moment. I don't think
2017.
that's how it works. I don't
reign-
recommend that you do that. Please don't eat undercooked chicken just to get ready for eating undercooked chicken.
2017
Masters.
reigning champion Danny Willett of England. Danny Willett showed up and went full English. Mini cottage pies, Sunday roast of prime rib, and Yorkshire puddings.
Please don't be mad, anybody listening. I'd show up to that dinner having eaten already. I'm eating before that dinner, and when I leave, I'm hitting the McDonald's drive-thru. I'm sorry. I'll eat the apple crumble.
I'm doing a surf and turf.
Oh, that's like Adam
Probably.
Scott. Adam Scott did surf and turf.
Like,
in
I feel like you have
2014.
to do lobster at least.
Adam Scott, 2014, reigning champion from Australia, did surf and turf, which is Moreton Bay bugs.
I hate that they call them bugs.
Well, I think they're the little lobsters. Like
which we call the something with a C.
they're like not quite lobsters. You're
It's
not even
something
sure if
that's
they
spelled
really.
funny. I'll try to think of it by the end of the podcast. I will just yell it out randomly if it comes into my brain. So
Yeah, and it was like artichokes, squid, and lobsters.
yeah,
Carl Schwartzel, the year before that from South Africa, it was like a South African barbecue of lamb chops and South African sausages. Like this man, I think was like really getting it. Really like, I'm going to try to create some gastro problems with my competition. Did not run it back, but I appreciate the effort.
is this the same team of chefs every year having to follow the whimsy and will of any winner of the Masters?
I think so, but you could probably bring in your own chefs. Like I know there was Justin Thomas did one of these when he won the U.S. Open, and I told you he brought in like the staff from Rayo's to cater this thing, like to cook for it.
Italian restaurant.
Yeah, I think so because I don't think you want the Augusta, Georgia staff having to do South African barbecues and sushi.
And not to say that they couldn't, but isn't the Masters, is that where you get those pimento sandwiches?
That is it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're like, I don't think they're having to compete at this top chef level, so it just feels like a lot to put on them.
Phil Mickelson, 2011, and everyone already
Tell
has
me.
an opinion of Phil Mickelson. Spanish-themed menu with seafood paella and machango topped filet mignon as the entrees.
I think it's. I'll just let you say it however you want to say
Machango?
it.
How do you pronounce this?
I won't touch this. Nope.
All
That's
right.
on. It's you.
Let me live and
It's
die
your
on this.
podcast. Yeah, go for a run with it.
Let me sound as Western Maryland as possible while pronouncing Spanish paella.
Tiger Woods, didn't he do like chicken sandwiches, French fries, milkshakes? That's safe.
So 22-year-old Tiger Woods did cheeseburgers, chicken sandwiches, and milkshakes. And then Tiger's last
Yeah.
Masters in 2020 was tempura shrimp, spicy tuna, eel sauce. And then, so for an appetizer, entree, steak and fajitas. Like Tiger went cross genre.
I mean, having to bring all those out is crazy. Also, as a lady who's had hot fajita juice dripped on her shoulder by accident at a restaurant.
Accident?
Yeah, somebody across from me at a large table. I think it was for like a gymnastics meet. We all went out for dinner the night before. Somebody across from me ordered fajitas. The waiter was serving 17 to 20 people, including little kids, all at once. A nightmare for a server. And then his nightmare worsened because he reached over me to put the fajitas down in front of my teammate and poured the juice on my shoulder. And so I had no idea that was even possible. Getting burned unexpectedly, I like jumped up and like flailed my arm. I had no idea what was going on. You guys are like looking at me like I'm telling you a war story. This is supposed to be funny. It hurt, but like it was just.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you so
like
much.
the mental picture of like
fucking sucks.
young gymnast being scalded
It
the night
hurt.
before.
Yeah, rhythmic gymnast. Let's be honest. It was a
Gymnast nonetheless.
It's important. They wouldn't like if I was calling myself
Ribbon
one
a
of them.
twirl in itself.
They looked down on us. We got the back 3 pages of the USGA magazine.
2004.
They were like, "Oh, and rhythmics happened. It's here at the bottom of the page."
2004, the goat of the Masters dinners. Mike Weir, reigning champion from Canada, serves up elk and wild boar and Canadian
No.
Canadian beer only.
No,
No sides?
Sides
That's
weren't
intense.
listed.
Just elk,
just
wild
meat
boar,
on meat.
Sides weren't listed.
Canadian
meat.
beer.
I mean, maybe there's a potato somewhere, but like that's a flex if Mike Weir is just slamming a boar on the table, Robin Hood style, with a couple of
The
knives.
chefs come out of
Have
the
at
kitchen
it.
with like the meat on a knife.
Apple in the mouth.
I don't know if this is culture wide or if it's just my friend's Russian wedding that my friend went to, but apparently a Russian wedding was just meat. They just kept hitting him with a meat course, vodka and meat.
I have no doubts about
Come
that.
every time I talk, you guys get silent. Am I pissing y'all off? No. Every time I've said something, you guys look at me like, and that's a thing you said. All right, this is the C block. I mean, I don't know, but this is the C block. And we've decided this week we would make our guesses, predictions about what we think is going to happen in the Severance finale. So if you are not caught up on Severance, or if you're like me and one of those people that don't want to necessarily know everybody else's theory about what's going to happen in Severance, now's the time. The podcast is over. So, email casualswithkatienolan@gmail.com. Voicemail 646-801-0043. IG and TikTok, it's at Casuals the Podcast. I love you and I mean it. Don't leave if you want though, because this is. So when I started rewatching, I kept a specific card. Because I have this notebook, obviously, with everything that happened in the episodes. But I have a specific card that said predictions. And I even had a format for it where I was going to say, like, stakes. Is it a low stakes prediction, a medium stakes, or a high stakes? Like a low stakes prediction I have is that the timelines are going to merge. Like we're going to see that Cobell used to be in a much nicer office before. First episode of the show, they talk about Cobell moving to her new office. I forgot that had happened, and I feel like she was probably higher up and is slowly being phased out by this company. I think we're going to see her in a big.
So you think time is you think time is a big reveal here?
I don't know, but I think if we're following her timeline of when she grabbed the chip and the fact that she owns I feel like we might find out that she's slowly being another weird one that's kind of a swing. Regabi, the woman who did the surgery on Mark.
And bailed.
What? Yeah, and bailed. I think she was Milchek's position before at Lumen.
I could see that.
Interesting.
Because she tells Mark she put the chip in his head.
Oh, she does?
Yeah. And I feel like we see Helly get her chip and Milchick is there for it.
Yeah.
So I feel like...
But Milchick didn't do it.
Right.
Wasn't he just present?
So it's either she was the doctor who we don't really see, I don't think, the doctor who actually puts it in her brain, or she was Milchick. So maybe you're right. It's probably she was the doctor. But I think she at least used to work at Lumen.
Yeah.
But that's probably everybody thinks that. Okay. Gemma's floor is creating marketing material. It may be doing other things, but Gemma going and having to do all those rooms, the dentist, the plane crash, they're filming those for promotion for when they try to go fully commercial with the chip and they sell it as like, do you want to avoid all the shit in your life that you don't like doing? Severance. And they show her, I think, is a guess that every time you say one of your severance theories to other people, you feel really naked. So why doesn't someone else
Well, you say
know
that
now?
out loud, and as someone who is in that for a living, like I think of like creating marketing materials as the least interesting outcome possible.
No, it's dark. It's bleak. They're torturing a woman, and
Like,
then they're going to use
marketing.
her torture to basically sell to us, the layman, who's like, oh, fun, you can skip riding on a plane, not knowing that lady's been kept in captivity.
We've been on a photo shoot with you for creating marketing materials. Like, how much different is this from this scenario you've laid out?
Basically the same. It was torture, absolute torture. All photo
All right,
shoots.
I'll take. Go ahead.
What do you guys think? Sorry. I was going to say, what do you guys think is Cold Harbor? What's in that room?
It's got to be baby related death, some sort of someone's going to have to die or lose a...
Because I do see what you're saying of like, they're definitely testing out things that people, or at least I'm assuming, that people tend to be afraid of, but for what reason, right? That like Severance can like help you avoid these situations. But it's like Cold Harbor.
I think less about that because I'm like, well, no.
Yeah.
We're going to know. I'm more like, what are they trying to do with this show?
See,
Like, I think they are... Nope, you
What's
go.
a gold
Brady, you
thimble?
go.
I was the
Sorry.
opposite on Cold Harbor in that I think it never gets revealed. I think it ends up being like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, where you're like, I have no idea what this is, and it makes it that much more ominous. And the real journey is the friends we make along the way, but it like is that much terrifying that we don't know, and kind of it's the big corporate unknown, and the process is the issue, not the end goal. And I kind of don't want to be told what it is.
Okay. Fair.
Well, it's almost like
Be that guy.
Lost told you too many things, and every time it told you something, it made
I
it less
know.
interesting. Like, I think Cold Harbor, I don't need to know what it is. It can go ahead and sound like a polo shirt Kirk Cousins buys from Kohl's. Like, you can just give it a vague name.
And we would know because he's constantly being documented. I think there's going to be an issue with timeline. I think when we meet Petey and he's reintegrating in season 1, he talks about how it's really screwy that your brain timelines, it's your severed brain thinks it's alive as long as your regular brain. And so like he talks about how his first day at Lumen is temporally in the same place as like his first day of 5th grade or 1st grade or something like that. And so I think with that in mind, integrated Mark, if that's what we're going to see, because last episode I was left a little wanting of like, is he I thought we were reintegrating him. If he is reintegrated, I feel like he's known Helly as almost as long, if not longer, than he's known Gemma, which could create something that would stress me out if he had to make a choice, and I know the right choice, but he doesn't. So that I think is something that
is that a harder choice than the one Gretchen has between the two Dylans? That is a more tragic choice.
I don't know.
Like, it's the same guy, but clearly one's way better.
What's tragic to me is it's the same. Yeah, yes. Well, he's not better. It's just what they would be without society and the experiences of their life on them. It's basically like a pure person, which is why I think the real point of Severance is that it was created by this company who is a cult. They have like a religious cult, basically. That's what What's-Her-Face came up through, Cobell. And I think that she came up with this idea to end suffering, and they saw it as an exploitable way to, you don't have to brainwash somebody if you find a thing that switches their brain to blank. It's a lot easier. You can just control their blank brain. And so they're going to try to get chips in everyone's brain. And then we know that they have the ability to just hit the button and activate them whenever they want. So I think they're just trying to make more people family. What's with the eggs? Why are we doing so much egg stuff? We think a baby? Do we think somebody's pregnant? Do we think...
Going by standard TV
fertility?
tropes, 2 people had sex. One of them has to now be pregnant.
Well, a bunch of people had sex, kind of. Same 2 people every time, but not the same 2 consciousnesses. Consciousness in this.
Tapas.
Consciousines. I do think the most interesting thing I've learned about Severance is that it has functioned, that Lumen has functioned much like the Kansas Jayhawks, in that they've been around since the 1800s and have had 8 leaders in that time period.
Essentially, Paul Pierce is Bert.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to find out in the finale. I don't want to give anything away, but I think we're going to see that.
The finale is going to have a hard time living up to Christopher Walken saying the words Lumen Goon. Like, Lumen Goon, I can't get enough of.
It's, you know...
I'm still confused what happened in that last episode with what Christopher Walken was doing.
Me too. I feel though I have... I read that the finale... Everyone who's seen the finale is like, it's good. It could serve almost as a series finale if they wanted to. I've seen 2 people say that, which to me means enough things get
wrapped up.
Mm-hmm. And so either they're right or I'm going to have 2 new enemies after that episode airs because those 2 lied to me.
Someone gets murdered, right?
I don't know.
Let's not say
Someone's
that.
probably going to die. Someone's probably got to die.
I'm going to say murder. I'm going to say murder's on the table. My voice going to get high enough that I think I feel confident about murder.
Maybe Rickon dies.
I love Rickon. I'm in on Rickon.
Have you been seeing the
So
anti-Rickon
yeah, that people
theories,
think
though?
he works there. Look, I don't get too deep on the Reddit because I'm like, yeah, you can really prove anything. You guys didn't write the show, so I want to see what the writers of the show think.
A lot of people think that Devin is also like
I know.
secretly bad.
I know.
And it's like that's so bad.
And maybe it's possible, right? I'm not
Yeah.
going to say, and I'll eat crow, but like, it's just funny when a woman makes a dumb decision. They're like, this doesn't vibe with her character. And it's like, yeah, a lot's kind of going on. Her brother has a hole in his head.
I was gonna
so
say,
she's
like-
not really thinking like, well, Cobell's probably bad. Mrs. Selvig is probably evil. She's like, what do I do
Yeah, I
about
just
the
walked
hole
in.
my bro?
Also
I do wish
just
they
had a
asked
baby.
More questions. Yeah, you're right. You're so right. Where is that baby?
I don't know, but no one's sleeping, so you're not making the best decisions.
I just hope they answer the fundamental question of the show, which is what truly defines the self. All right, you guys, that's Casuals. That's our podcast for the day. For the week, this is our second podcast of the week. Can you imagine? Can you believe? We're working so hard. I already said this before. I'm not going to say it again. That would be 3 times in a podcast I tell you how to email us and call us, and we haven't done a voicemail or an email in a long time.
You could say at
you know where
casuals
it
with
is.
Katie Nolan at gmail.com if you had to. Like if you had to say
You just
email
did.
us casuals
You just
with
did.
Katie Nolan at gmail.com.
You just did again.
I didn't even mention the at casuals the podcast
They're
socials.
sending us emails. Chris is overwhelmed by emails, and he's got the day off. He's drunk. He can't be reading emails today. Don't send. Actually, if you send an email today, start it with, hey, Chris, know you're drunk, and then ask whatever, even unrelated to that. I think he would find that very funny, or he'd be scared. In either way, funny to me.
I like it. Do it.
We will see you guys on Tuesday, and we'll talk about sports a little more. I got to come up with how to end this podcast, because right now it's just like, that's it, guys. Love you, mean it. Bye.